This is Bear With Us podcast.
Well, can we add girl? I mean, we aren't all manly like you.
Okay. How's this? This is Bear With Us Gurrl.
No. More like girl, like a glitter bear.
This is Bear With Us Gurrl.
Perfect. This is Bear With Us Gurrl, where we stir the honey pot with hot topics, body issues, the adult industry,
Fashion, news, pop culture, pup culture, and more.
From the bear perspective.
For and by the community.
I can barely stand it. Get it?
You're unbearable.
Oh my God. Oh, wow, that joke. Almost as good as the script for Uncoupled.
By the way, whenever we have a new season, we have to make a new opening.
Oh, okay.
Just solely for the fact that I cannot deal anymore.
It's in your nightmares.
Well, I literally sense you wanting to look over at my reaction.
Always. I'm just like, is he going to, what kind of mood is he in today?
I won't give you one anymore, though. I'm done giving you what you want.
You know what my new obsession is?
What?
Since nobody's having sex and I can't have sex and I don't want to be drinking alcohol 40 hours a day, diet root beer. Isn't that the weirdest thing? It's now like I have to, like 24/7. I'm craving it. I'm like Trump and Diet Coke. Like I gotta have it, and it's there all the time.
I mean, that's not exactly the healthiest thing.
Shut up. But it's caffeine free and sugar free.
The sugar free is the worst part. Sugar is healthier for you than aspartame.
Well, give me a donut then, because I'm hungry.
But I love that as I say that to you, I'm also drinking a LaCroix, which I'm
How
pretty.
can you drink that? That is literally shit in a can.
It's actually just water. No, so it's not.
So gross.
It's not good at all, but it's something to drink.
Okay,
to pass
even
the
water
time.
is better. Even the Stater Brothers flavored water is better than that.
I mean, I'll agree with that.
But if you put it with vodka, it changes. It ups the game.
Well, so you want to know how these things actually work is that they're scented. They're not flavored.
Yeah, right.
That's also the same way almost all candy is. You know that, right?
No.
So
And I'm a candy connoisseur.
so almost so all Starburst, all Skittles, most gummy bear brands except for expensive ones, they're not individually flavored. They're individually scented, and then they all just are made with citric acid and sugar.
So if my nose was plugged, I'd be eating nothing?
Yes.
I don't know if I believe that. We need to have a taste test.
It works. If you plug your nose and eat like a Starburst or whatever, it just tastes citric.
Okay, I'm going to try that next time.
Yeah, let me know.
We'll have a little taste. Now, I know since you never really go out. In fact, I texted you the other day. I'm like, hey, it's Sunday Fun Day in WeHo. Are you around? You're like, number one, I don't go out. Number two, I'm at a party on the East Coast. I'm like, well, there you are out.
Well, mind you, first off, you should know that the fact that I even responded to you means that I care about you.
Sometimes, like, days will go by, and I'll just be like, Teddy, where are you?
Well, because you text me, and I prefer. And this sounds weird. I prefer to be messaged on Instagram.
What?
Because to me, that's my AOL Instant Messenger. So like that's like where I like to go in. Well, I like to go on when I'm in the mood to chat. But a text message to me is very much like it's immediate. So if you send me something that's not an immediate response, I usually won't answer in text. But if you had messaged me on Instagram, I'll probably answer you within like the few minutes.
Yeah, but I'm competing with like 10,000 dick pics a day.
No, but because at least the Instagram algorithm knows that you and I are actually real friends, so you get pushed up. So I'll see it.
All right. Okay, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
And if I get less response, it's over. I'm just going to show up at your house. Knock, knock, knock. Anyway, okay, so today we're talking about reality TV with somebody that I have known for almost 20 years. So I want to know, like, what reality TV shows do you actively watch or binge watch?
I mean, for so many years, I tried to be one of those people that was like, I don't support reality TV. It's bad for human culture, blah, blah, blah. And then I discovered the Real Housewives.
Which iteration first?
So it first started with New York, then it moved to OC, and then it moved to Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that's the usual healthy journey.
Then it moved to Salt Lake, and then now it's back to Beverly Hills. And Beverly Hills is honestly my favorite one. I think just because wherever you're from, you tend to like it better. I actually just most recently finished the last season of Jersey. And I will say this, I don't think I can watch Jersey because it actually gives me anxiety. Because out of all the series, I've never witnessed one where you're just like, those women want to literally kill each other.
See, I enjoy that.
Did you see Teresa's wedding pictures?
I haven't watched Jersey in so many years because it just got
Hold on 1 second. My
trashy.
chair keeps falling down. I swear I'm not the short. No, did you see her wedding pictures with like she had the bumpet hair?
Somebody made like a comparison between her and Marge Simpson. I saw the pictures. She looked ridiculous.
Yes.
Number one, she looked like she was melting. Her makeup person forgot powder that day, by the way.
But her bronzer, like for her cheeks, was literally black, like dark brown.
Imagine their sheets, like at the end of the night, it's like, oh, Teresa.
I don't know how she
It's
got
like the Shroud of Turin, and her face is in the.
Yeah, I don't know
photo.
how she was able to wear a white dress without it being just completely stained.
Well, I don't know how she wore a white dress for many reasons. Anyway, the show's brought to you by Cybersocket.com, the ultimate resources for gay erotica. Visit us for all things gay, interviews, free clips, contributions, porn star writers. Go to Cybersocket.com.
And we are also sponsored by Bear World Magazine. Bear World Magazine is the only lifestyle magazine celebrating the global bear community in all its glorious, diverse beauty.
Right.
Head over to bearworldmag.com to check out the great berry content packed with berry news, interview, and bear gossip.
Bruh, do bears have gossip? It's like,
Yeah. So,
honey, he had too much honey, honey.
oh, I like that.
Maybe that'll be the next little intro.
I don't hate that. I like that.
Okay. Okay.
I'm writing that down.
Write it down. Write it down. Tony, write it down. Okay. I'm so excited to be interviewing Jeffrey Marx. He's worked in the unscripted television genre for 10 years, where he's currently Emmy nominated for Love on the Spectrum. He worked on The Amazing Race, Big Brother, Project Runway, and America's Got Talent before becoming a casting producer. Highlights include MTV's The Real World, Ayanla, Fix My Life, Generation Drag, and We're Here on HBO, which we know won 2 GLAAD Awards for Outstanding Reality Program. He passionately believes that sharing stories through unscripted television has the power to change society, one living room at a time. Coincidentally, Jeffrey and I met and worked at a theater company years and years ago, and we've been running around in entertainment ever since. And we used to have reality TV show viewing parties at his house where literally 40 to 50 people would just come get completely wasted and watch. I remember the first show was Joe Millionaire.
I love that show.
I mean, that was the intro. Jeff
He was so hot.
What? He was not hot.
Yes, he was.
Oh my God, he looked like a salamander. Jeff has seen me at my drunkest, and he's seen me at my drunkest. Please welcome Jeffrey Marx.
Woof.
I've known you since we were youngins, and it's so funny to now say Emmy nominee. Not that it's funny that we didn't know you were going to be destined for stardom, but it's like, hey, Jeffrey Marx, who we've gotten shit-faced with and had drama and fun times, and is now going to the Emmys.
He finally came through. Good old Jeffrey Marx. Never count out Jeffrey Marx. That's my motto. Never count him out.
Now, when we were, we were all kinds of big fish in the small theater company world of Santa Ana, California, with dreams of LA and Hollywood. Remember, every one of us was going to be a Hollywood star. We were going to be in films, everything.
Sure. Yes.
How funny. And, we kind of lost touch for a few years, but what was your journey to LA, and what was that kind of adjustment to? Like I said, we were cocks on the walk down there, and then we come to LA. It's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you like a little synopsis. So I lived in New York City for exactly 10 years before I started working in unscripted television. And so I had to go back and forth a lot between Los Angeles and New York, kind of just following wherever the jobs went. So that was a little tumultuous. I didn't really realize that the freelance nature of entertainment was so anxiety-inducing and never-ending. So there's a lot of back and forth. So sometimes in my timeline of success, there are some whirlwind roller coaster pockets. But it's been almost 13, 14 years now that I've been working in some respect in the industry, and this summer is a big payoff for me. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad that you're so honest about like the ups and downs. You and I have both sent each other texts. It's like, hey, I think I have to sleep on somebody's couch for a while, or I don't know where I'm going to live, or I have to move, in a few days. And I know that you definitely went through that.
Did you ever think about quitting your industry?
Teddy, that's a good question. I think about it every day. Here's the thing, though, is if I could think of something else that I loved more and would be fulfilled doing creatively, I'd go do it. Mm-hmm. If there was something else that had like a steady paycheck that I was happy about, I'd go do it. But I don't know what that thing is. And so in between, I'm just going to keep killing it in the departments that I'm killing it in, which is specifically casting for unscripted television. It's an art form. I feel like I'm an encyclopedia. It was a freshman year in high school in 1995 when Real World came out, and I just kind of grew up with the genre. So I really know it backwards and forwards, not only behind the scenes, but from having been on a small TV show that no one watched or cared about 10 years ago. But like, I know both sides of the camera, and I like, it's a field that I know, and I feel very knowledgeable in and comfortable in. So until something else, pops up, this is what it is.
So I actually have a question that like I've honestly been wondering for a while now from like casting directors in reality TV, because I've gotten this a lot, that I've been approached by casting directors for shows, and they're like, we want to cast you on a show. I then remind them, just so you know, what I do for work is I do OnlyFans, I do porn. Every single one has told me, oh, well, we can't cast you if you show penetration. And I want to ask you, like, what the fuck is wrong with casting directors that are judgmental and sex-shaming sex workers?
It's the sponsors.
But then even further, making TV shows that are about getting people to hook up on camera. Like, that's what I don't understand. Is like, I'm like, you guys are literally all about filming sex.
Double standard.
But if somebody for their work films sex, you can't go on a show that films sex. Why is that?
Great question. I love this question. So yes, first of all, I want to remind you, it's not usually the casting directors that are the primary sort of gatekeeper to that question. Usually it's a network sort of roadblock, or whatever streaming service or whatever platform the show or the content is coming through. And there isn't like a hard, fast blanket rule to my knowledge, but generally speaking, the penetration thing, and that honestly has been in the world before OnlyFans and the before times before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
That was more of a thing that people kind of clung to, of like, that content's too racy, and if it's connected to our project, that would be too much. But I think in the current times, I think there's a little more leeway with that. I think it just depends on the project. So I would never totally count you out for that, but it usually is a network related issue rather than the casting producer who's reaching out to you.
And that's what I've heard too. It's that it's the networks, it's their advertisers. Their advertisers won't advertise anything that has to do with anything from the adult community. And that's even like with gay magazines. If they have an underwear ad, that could block them for certain advertisers.
And it's never 100%. It's always case by case circumstances, and there's always a way around it depending on those circumstances. But in general, I think the industry's a little behind on that, especially since we were all locked in our houses for 2 years, and that's how people made their cash.
Yeah.
And like, OnlyFans is a completely legitimate line of business that like, I think there is movement towards lessening that. I personally haven't run into too much blockage on that in the last couple of years, but it is still a thing. It is still a stigma that I think is unnecessary for sure.
And like you said, there is leadway, like you get around those things. Like, for example, I've been on a TV show that is a Disney-owned TV show. I was on an episode of Good Trouble for a featured like cameo part where they needed like a dancer in a bar. And obviously I'm very much not what Disney would approve of, but the writer for that show knew me, wanted me in the show, and just basically like worked in being like, oh, we don't know who he is, what he does, even though he knew.
Well, you are recognizable. It's not like
Yeah.
you can just slip in the background.
So like you can do it sometimes and be like, oh, we didn't know that he's Teddy Bear.
Yeah, and sometimes people won't even notice. On Golden Girls, they got jokes through all the time through the censors because they didn't either get the joke or they weren't paying that close attention.
It was too late by then, yeah.
So Jeff, I want to talk to you. You know, you and I are both the bigger gals in the entertainment industry. And you're talking about the show that you did. You did The Glass House, which was ABC's version of kind of Big Brother. And you were the big gay guy on that show. Your fans loved you. To this day, people still recognize you from that show. It's funny being in front of the camera and now being behind the camera, and we look at the diversity that supposedly we are moving towards. Then I happened to watch Big Brother this last week, and I'm like, wow, it's a bunch of pretty people again, and the plus size character, she's like normal size. It's like, how much has body positivity actually gotten better in terms of representation in reality TV? As a bigger person, but also as the gay person, we still have that token gay on reality TV. It's like, that's their role that they're going to play for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So I do think in general, the body positivity movement has made great progress, specifically in unscripted television. I know 10 years ago in 2012, when I was cast on that show, there wasn't a ton of like fat people. First of all, people using the word fat in a positive way, So there wasn't a ton of like fat, gay, hairy men represented on television. So it was kind of a little bit of a, oh wow, that's cool, that's different. What is that all about? Someone who's like really confident and about their body, who's also a fat person and is gay, is on Channel 7. That's weird. So like at the time, it kind of was a little bit of a rallying call to, like you said, the fans of the show, who was it definitely quickly dissipated. But in the moment, there was a big rush to like, my social media had an uptick of people who were very interested in like, oh, hey, handsome. Like, that's not a thing that usually happened 10 years ago. And I think just in that decade, I think there's a lot more people just even outside of television that are very open, very honest, very easy to say, hey, I'm attracted to bigger dudes, to fat dudes, and fat isn't a bad word. So I've seen a huge progress in that. In terms of like some of the TV shows where you're still seeing just like the quintessential sort of archetype pretty people, there's still room for improvement in that. You know, you mentioned Big Brother, which is one of my all-time favorite shows. But like last summer, they had a great summer, great cast, great hit. There was body positivity, there was racial diversity, there was great strategy, home run season. This year is a little bit of a falter. It's I don't know. I don't want to talk too bad about it because my friends work on the show, but it's not really on its A game, to be perfectly honest. And it still kind of suffers from a little racial business. And I think the casting could have been a little tighter. But again, those aren't those casting producers' final decision. It's from a network. So it's from CBS, you know. And some shows, and I talk about this in a general sense, but like some shows, when they're thinking about their gay person or their gay character, they want them to either be a villain and or the like sassy Twinkie kid, right? Yep. So there's kind of those are the two big archetypes that they kind of fall into, whether it's on purpose or on accident. But in order to get outside of the box on that, you have to start casting different people, which is why there's so many other shows that look for so many other different types of people that do exist. But sometimes the networks fall back on like what they know, what they're used to. And so sometimes that gay character isn't always the best in some people's opinion.
Well, like most reality shows, if they cast a sex worker, they tend to do the same archetype of it's a person who got trapped into sex work.
It's a tragic story.
Tragic story that they had to do it. Like they never show the story of this person does porn and they like it.
And they can pay rent, and they own a home, and they're like, I have a business.
Exactly. Like the one thing, like back when I was like talking the question about reality shows and like not allowing sex workers, is somebody made a good point about they will only accept you if you regret what you did. For example, like a Kim Kardashian, who she's a porn star because she had a sex tape.
That's funny.
I say that because I'm like, I know that she would not claim that. I'm like, no, you're a porn star.
Can you imagine introducing her as former porn star Kim Kardashian?
Oh my God, that would be such a good shade. Like at an award show or something.
Yes.
Walking the stage, please introduce former porn star Kim Kardashian. No, but I'm saying that like she's able to get away with it because you said like I regret that the tape came out. I never wanted that.
Yeah,
and
that's funny.
And because people want to see them as the victim.
Yeah, and like just like the Catholic Church, you can be gay, but just be sorry for being gay and like don't talk about it. Jeff, I want to go back to something you said. It's like when you said fat. You know, it's funny. We both come from Orange County. And you said, fat is not a bad word. Whenever I hear that word, I recoil. And something that I've always appreciated from the first day that I met you to every day since is no matter what weight you were at, you never let it define you. Or at least that's what we saw from the outside. I mean, you got all the lead parts of the theater company. You got all the great reviews. You were one of the best actors in that group. In anything that you did, really, you were the best at. And your weight never, ever defined you. Whereas my journey, as the years went by and I gained more and more weight, it's like that word was such a trigger word. And I'd wear baggier clothes. And I would be like, I'm not a bear. I'm not part of the bear community, trying to avoid it so much. So I want to know where you got that kind of confidence, where that came from. Was it like something you went through high school and you're like, fuck it? Or was that just what we saw?
Thank you for this question. I've been asked this a few times here and there throughout the years. And there really isn't like a magical moment, but I do trace it down to just a general sense in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. was definitely where I was like, oh, I'm the chubby, effeminate kid, right? In the classroom, at the PE, in the gym, at the PE. I don't even know how to call the gym. But like, like out on the basketball court or at the tetherball thing. But I always knew that the bullies would try to come for me, right? And usually it was first to do with the weight. It was first to do with being fat. And secondarily, it was like, well, I don't know, is he gay too? What does that even mean? So as someone who would get bullied for those two things that were just innately who I am, I really learned the value in paying attention to the people who were watching them make fun of me and use them as an audience to then go for the bullies back. This is why when teachers always tell you to use your words, I really took note. I have only ever once been in one physical fight in 8th grade ever. Otherwise, I've always used my words. I've always turned the tables back around on the bullies, got the audience or the other classmates to laugh at them instead, and then the power there was mine.
I love that.
I got to be who I was, which is a fat, femme, gay dude, and I still had laughter going against the bullies. So something in that is really a cornerstone of development in my sense of humor and how I see human dynamics and how alliances work on a playground, things like that all really transfer into...
Was your elementary school Big Brother? Like, was there cash prize to getting out?
I wish I would have won, probably.
Now, Jeff,
would you ever go on like Survivor?
Survivor, no, because it's just too physical for me, especially now that I'm an actual post-lockdown, fat, diabetic, 45-year-old
You can't bring a CPAP machine to the island.
Which I don't have yet, but I'm sure I will.
Like, knock on wood.
But no, Survivor, I just am not physically cut out for. But I would do a house show, again, like if there ever was one, which there wouldn't be because I've already been on one. But like those house shows with challenges that are a little less physically demanding, I'd go on those things, sure.
I'd be interested to see the lives of casting directors, like from their office to the people that they're interviewing and auditioning to what they do in their own personal life. Because I'm sure you come across so many crazy kind of characters in your line of work.
Well, what's the weirdest like casting audition video you've ever seen?
Oh, there was one good one. It was for a game show that was only on once. No one watched it. It didn't matter. But it was like a trivia game show, right? And one of my co-producers was interviewing this team of girls, all girls, like friends, like best friends. It was like 2 best friends and one of them's sister. And for a game show casting, you want to be high energy. So as a producer, you want to bring high energy into the room. You want them to feed off of it. You want them popping on their feet, smiling, laughing, guessing, being loud, fun, action, right? So me and my friend, we'd walk these girls into the room, started doing like the pre-explanation before we hit record. And one of the girls was just sitting there like arms crossed, stank face, just like, what is this energy all about? Kind of like just a stone roadblock wall. And she ended up getting into a fight with my co-producer because my co-producer was like, I'm sorry, I just need a little bit more energy. And she's like, well, this is my energy, so this is what you get. And she's like, okay, but we're all like auditioning for a game show, so we just want to kind of punch it up just a little bit. So if you're already at a level 10, let's try to get at a level 11 right now, just to see what it looks like. And she just stood back, and her friends were doing great. Her friends were like, come on, let's go, Stacy, let's have fun. And she was like, not having it. It was the weirdest thing ever. It's like, we're trying to get you on a TV show to win $1 million. Don't fucking give us anything.
What I would do then if I was the girls, I'd be like, hold on one second, cut camera, and come back with like a guy in a wig and be like, Stacy's back. She's in a better mood. So happy.
I think Stacy is the Karen of the reality TV world. It's like, she's such a Stacy. Jeff, I want to talk to you about the power of saying yes and kind of shifting gears, especially after COVID. A lot of us have been through shit. Life is kind of up in the air. When, like I said, way back when we were theater actors, we wanted to be actors. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to be in the movies and the TV, and life for both of us has definitely changed, and you now have an Emmy nomination. having to kind of switch and be like, okay, maybe acting is not for me right now. I'm going to go ahead and say yes to this line of work, and I'm going to continue this, even though it's not my dream. It's such a fine line. You're not giving up your entertainment dreams because you're in the thick of it, but you're also not saying, I'm not going to do anything but this because it's what I am supposed to be doing.
Sure. No, that's a good question. So yeah, for many years, especially in New York, I pursued comedy a lot. I was part of Upright Citizens Brigade. I was on their house teams. I did stand up for a while, all with some, medium amount of success. Like I wasn't bad. I was good. I was getting better. But I just didn't rise to the top in a timely fashion. And by the time I started working in casting out in Los Angeles, while I still was doing shows at the Improv Theater, I was like, well, you know what? I can pay my rent if I'm working in casting. I don't see myself making any cash right away from pursuing this comedy thing. And so it really becomes just a matter of time management. Like, do I have time to focus on the thing that I'm finding some creative outlet in? And do I just put all my effort and energy into that? Or do I want to keep doing the other fun stuff too? I also produced a podcast for a couple seasons, which was wildly fun, but very time consuming. So I know what this all goes into. And
you had great guests.
Kudos to everyone kudos to anyone who does a podcast. Yes, Alexander was on one of those episodes. But you really have to be like, hey, at what point do I turn off the, hey, I'm Jeff Marx and I'm a sassy reality TV character, which I'm certainly capable of doing. Yeah. I have a mouth like no other. Oh. But also, when do you go into the different direction of, hey, let's actually work on stuff in a behind the scenes way that is a whole different ball game with sassy mouths, because people are freaking crazy everywhere, in front of and behind the camera. But
can't you do both?
I think you can do both.
It's so time consuming.
Just a matter
you don't have
of,
the time.
do you have the time and the energy to pursue both? And honestly, I didn't have the energy anymore to do stand up 4 nights a week and network and cultivate that audience and go to the bar and buy chili cheese fries and then $5 in, it's just, It was so much that I was like, I've already worked 10 hours today. I don't have the energy to go do that.
And then sometimes it's like a hamster in the wheel. You just you go faster and faster, but you're not really going anywhere in one direction because you are spread so thin. And podcasting, it's not like we just come and chat. There's a lot of work that goes into it before, during, and after.
People think podcasts are like, oh, that was fun. Let me listen to that. I have a personality. Let me talk.
Yeah,
it's so much involved into a podcast that literally any podcast that's existing, I applaud thee, for real.
Well, it's also too it's also just part of also getting older. I'm purposely trying to do as much as I can now because I can sense my body getting more and more tired. So I'm now I need to make sure I get out as much as I physically do, because the older I get, I'm going to want to focus more on less things.
Well, and work less to be at the same level.
Exactly. That's what the goal should always be.
Yeah. It's nobody wants to work hard or overwork, whatever. We just want to work and make it work. Jeff, we talk a lot about the bear community on the show, obviously. Teddy's experience in the bear community is much different than mine. Some of my toe dipping into the bear community.
Literally toe dipping.
It has not been so successful.
Jeff, I want to ask you your opinion. Do you think that he should keep beard stubble on?
What?
Because I keep trying to tell him to keep it because I think he looks sexy with it, and I think the bears will love him more.
I don't want the bears to love me more.
Yes, you do.
I want baby Jesus to love me.
You want their approval.
I've never gotten a bear's approval.
So what's your opinion? Do you think he should keep the scruff?
I mean, I'm always pro facial hair, literally on anybody, always, all the time, ever.
Literally.
But I say do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Whatever makes you.
No. We're not doing the positive statements right now. I want your honest, truthful bear opinion.
4 hours and I'll have full scruff.
Do you think he looks sexy with a beard?
I mean, yes. That's literally my answer to everyone with a beard.
It could be anybody.
But yes.
But some of us, what was your very first exposure to the bear community? It wasn't in Orange County.
Are there bears in Orange County?
I am originally from Orange County, yeah, but there was not a bear scene there before I moved to New York.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So briefly in New York, where I experienced what me and my friends at the time called Bear Summer, where everyone was going to parties and different clubs and little shindigs and stuff, and everyone was discovering what open relationships are and lots of partner swapping, and it was really a lot for me. And so I didn't really love it. And so I backed out. I put it at an arm's distance for a little while. And then when I moved to California, first of all, I became in New York. This might be too much information, but it's funny. So in New York, I was definitely like more of a top all the time I was there. But in California, I became what I call a California bottom.
Oh, what is that?
Everything was so much more stressful moving and getting career started and everything that I really did quickly get swept up in the bear community in LA, in California. And it was much more welcoming, much more easygoing. It was a lot less pretentious. It was a lot less judgmental, or at least the judgments were smoke screened very easily. And I just found it an easier space to navigate, especially with like being invited to pool parties, which is, Alexander, I took you to one time.
I sat in the corner for hours and didn't move.
Alexander, Teddy, get this. So I was like, Alexander, you have to come with me to this party. It's like a bear thing. It's body positivity. No one's going to care. There's going to be someone hotter than you, and there's going to be someone uglier than you. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So you should come and like just see what it's all about. Pool party, daytime, summer, sunshine, right? He shows up in like head to toe, normal Alexander, like button suit, tie, ready for the cabaret. And he's like, and he's like, but he's got a cocktail in his hand and he's like just downing them left and right. Just being, I got to feel comfortable here. I was like, come on, let's just jump in. Let's go. He's like, oh, I'm good here in the shade for a minute. I'm good here. And he never came back to another one with me. But I'm a heavy in the rotation even to this day.
Now, let me just tell you what was going on, though. There was so much happening. There was so much nudity. I hadn't seen that much nudity in one place. I had not seen so many different body types, and nobody was like ashamed. And so like, I come from very prudish Orange County, so I was trying to eat a hot dog, and I'm talking to a guy, and his dick is literally waving at me, and I'm just like, I was so out of my element. And then there was like this room everybody was going. I'm like, where's everybody going? Everybody was having sex, going in the pool, going back and having sex. I'm like, where the hell are we?
Wait, was this Cherrywood?
This was no, this was back in the day. This was at a house in Granada Hills.
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, there's
I was like, I think
there's
I've
so
been
much
there.
going on. I was like, this is the place. If you're gonna cut loose and be free, Alexander, this is where you start.
It was like overwhelming. But that was my first entrance into the idea of that there is, we think as bigger guys because we're like, you know what, it's very few people are going to find you attractive because you are bigger. This was my first glimpse into that was totally wrong. There was a series of hot guys that were so into the bigger guys, not even as a fetish, it's just what they really, really liked. And Jeff, like, if I can tell you, Jeff has more sex than I think than all of us put together. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I'm not seeing him anymore. And I'm like, but he's a GQ model. Like, what's happening? There's never been a shortage of boys for Jeff.
So this is what I try and tell to everyone, like when I give advice, is like the biggest way to be attractive is to be confident. I know it sounds cliche, but literally every human being, even the hottest person out there, they're attracted to somebody of confidence because that's what it's literally in our DNA to look for somebody that is confident for what you feel like you're lacking. So if you were you literally, this is me, fuck it, this is me, people are going to be so turned on because it's comforting, it's calming, as opposed to somebody who could be really hot who's like asking you like, do I look okay? Like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? You're just like, oh my God, I don't want to take care of you. I can barely take care of myself.
Well, and that was, like I said, day one when I met Jeff, that was that. There was just this confidence. He took any role he wanted to in the theater. It didn't matter, it didn't matter how tall he was or how big he was or whatever. It was just, he was the best actor there and he had this confidence. You didn't even think about it.
But mind you, also telling somebody, you have a lot of confidence is kind of a backhanded compliment.
Right, and
you're
I never really
you're so
said it, but that was
brave.
just...
You're so brave for coming here today.
Well, yeah, it's like, you are beautiful. It's like, fuck off.
I don't care what anybody says. You're like, wait, what did they say?
What did they say?
What are you saying?
Oh, don't worry. I know everything bad anyone would ever say about me. I know it.
Well, yeah, but you know how to respond and make them feel worse.
Oh, he's so good at his one line, girl.
I need to hire you to respond to the negative messages on my Instagram.
That should be a
I'm
job.
great at that.
Because I had my first reel on Instagram go viral. It's at 1 million views.
Oh, wow.
But it went viral because it got discovered on straight Instagram. And all the comments are literally barf emojis. Oh, his back is so hairy. I would kill myself if I looked like that. That's so disgusting. Gurrrl. And I literally I need to hire you to be like, can you please go in there and just make them go home and cry about themselves.
Here's the thing though about that. This is a good point. So like in the before times, I was always very pro sass anyone back online, right? Like give it right back. But in this shattered hellscape America we're in, I don't even talk to anyone online anymore that I don't already know, because literally half the time they're just doing it to say the opposite of what they're seeing, and the other half of the time they're like mad about their own lives and they're saying some bullshit online to make themselves feel better. So again, this goes in the line of confidence. Is like I've always been a somewhat confident person. There's been different stages of my life where that confidence has risen in different ways, but like I don't even give them the satisfaction of responding anymore, because I'm just like, you know what? The people who do find this hot, fat, bearded ginger, well, slowly graying.
Girl, let's be honest. He hasn't been ginger for a while.
There's some frosting on that ginger.
Like they'll be drawn to me regardless. And I always tell people all the time, especially people who are maybe new to the bear scene or maybe have a little less self-confidence about how they look, is that if you go in there with a confidence, whoever is attracted to you will find you. And I'm always amazed at like the entire spectrum of people who are attracted to me. It's everyone from older, bigger, grizzly kind of guys to younger, athletic people that you would look on the street and be like, they're not even gay, let alone, into older fat dudes. So like there's such a spectrum there that's drawn to the confidence. It's drawn to the personality that's in this, gumball sort of vision. So it's really all about how much do you focus on yourself and your self-worth and your self-confidence.
Well, and to that point, I ran into one of your the bartender from Eagle in Palm Springs. I ran into him last week. I'm like,
oh, I love him.
Yeah, I was like,
he was my pandemic buddy.
Oh my God, he's so... They mean buddy to like the full extent. Like, my buddy and me. But I was like, Jeff got an Emmy nomination. He's like, I know, we're good friends. I'm like, calm down, bitch. Talking about the kid from Orange County growing up gay to working on a huge show like HBO's We're Here, and we know it has Bob the Drag Queen, Eureka, and Shangela. That must have been a pretty strong moment for you to be like, wow, this is a major show that's queer. And it's unabashedly queer, and we're taking the queer all across the United States. As a gay man, that must have been a pretty special project to be able to work on.
Role of a lifetime, man. Like people, you think Leah Michelle wants to be on Funny Girl as bad as she can taste it. The freaking We're Here was my Funny Girl. It felt like I had been training all my life, from being an out gay person to being confident to like casting all these other shows beforehand and just knowing what works and the industry and human dynamics and all that stuff. It was like, here's the perfect project for Jeffrey Marx. And to build that show from the ground up with the showrunners and the producers was really, really, really the milestone of my career so far, until I win this Emmy for Love on the Spectrum. But getting that gig was really great. And for 2 years, I lived and breathed that show.
Who are you up against in the category?
For the category this year, it's Love on the Spectrum, the US version, which I'm part of the team. It's the Lizzo, I think it's called Watch Out for the Big Girls. It's her dance competition show. And then the 3 big ones that are nominated every year, which is Queer Eye, Drag Race, and Top Chef. And Queer Eye has won twice.
Drag Race is like what, 16?
Has won twice.
Oh, okay.
And so now it kind of is, the big question is, do we award Drag Race a third time? Do we start giving some love to Top Chef, or do we give a new show that came out of nowhere the love that it deserves? So we'll see. It's really anyone's game this year.
I hope you win, because I have a feeling you may, because there's been a lot of talk about your show. It's something that's never been done. It also educated people a lot that aren't really aware or understanding of autism. So I have a lot of respect for that show as somebody who is autistic. And what you did was incredible, and I think people noticed that.
Jeff, for our audience that might not know what Love on the Spectrum is, can you kind of explain what
sure.
the show's
so
about?
Love on the Spectrum originated as an Australian show, and there's 2 seasons of that, which is what you're showing here, I think, on the screen. And just instantly charming. It's all about people who are on the autism spectrum, going on dates, searching for romance, And then this year we did the same group in Australia came to America to do a US version of the show. And it's the same concept, people going on dates, what makes them tick, what's important to them in a partner. You know, it's just like neurotypical people, neurodivergent people also want love and relationships and are worthy of those as well. So, so the show is a very, very kind, tender sort of examination of what does that process look like to find love.
Well, and also talking about your life in Orange County, Jeff would always stop people from using the R word. This was before it was even PC or even known that, hey, you're not supposed to say that anymore. I mean, that was a word that we said to each other all the time. But Jeff stopped because every summer you worked at a camp and you worked with kids on the spectrum. Can you talk about that experience and how that must have felt, again, working on a show like Love on the Spectrum?
Sure. Yeah. So the camp I used to do was I started off doing as a high school, like junior, for volunteer hours. It was a camp for adults with disabilities and all kinds of disabilities. But a lot of those campers that were part of that program were people with autism. And through that experience, I really learned how to, talk with people in that community. My mom is someone who has worked with people with disabilities since she was 18 years old. She's worked for the state of California all the way through retirement. She was a special ed teacher for all kinds of different levels of disabilities. And it was just kind of a natural sort of instinctual gift to kind of be a person who can lead a classroom of those types of people and to communicate in an effective way. And the secret really isn't anything major. Some people are like, well, what's the secret of that?
Yeah.
And between my mom and working for the state and also this summer camp, it's really, you just talk you talk to them like you would anyone else. Like you listen with care, you are authentic in your conversation, and they feed off of your truth. If you're a truthful, direct communicator, which I'm accidentally an amazing thing at, but if you're a truth monster like I am in the real world, right? If you're a truth monster and truth is a cornerstone to who you are, then a person who is on the spectrum is going to zero in on that part of you and be very responsive and excited to talk to you, because you're almost talking to them with their part of the brain, like with your part of the brain, and it's kind of matching. And it's just for me, it's an easy process. But for some people, they're like, oh no, someone with disabilities, how do I act? How do I talk? Do I talk slower? Do I talk louder? And the thing is you just don't worry about it anymore. You're worrying too much about the othering of that person instead of just focusing on how you're the same. And then that conversation flows once you know that.
Well, I think to your point, Teddy, I think we are ready to award and start paying attention to other shows, not the big budget shows, not the shows that get it every year, but shows that are actually making a difference. I think Housewives has kind of hit a wall. It's like, okay, we've done this for years. What's fresh? What's new? I know they've lost a bunch of viewers because it's like, okay, we're ready for something different, something that means something, especially out of COVID. And that certainly is Love on the Spectrum. One of the years that Drag Race was nominated for casting was when they cast Sherry Vine.
Oh. Did they win that year, though?
I think they did.
Yeah,
it's like, well, great casting.
Yeah,
we had to edit one of the characters for the whole season.
You're so good at casting that you didn't research that at all. Yeah. But all right.
Jeff, where were you when you found out that you were an Emmy nominee?
I was right here at this desk. No, for I don't know how everyone's Emmy nomination process is, but for me, I got up early. They get announced at 8:30 in the morning. I got up, I had breakfast, I took my pills, took a shower, got all ready, sat here and started refreshing the screen as they came in because I wanted to see who was nominated for what. And I thought between these two projects, between We're Here and Love on the Spectrum, I was like, oh, I wonder if we'll get nominated. And I slowly realized that We're Here was not getting any nominations this year.
Yeah, that was odd.
Unfortunate, especially since we were nominated the year before and won a GOT award this year. But, I'm not in charge. But I was slowly noticing that show wasn't getting anything. And I hadn't even gotten to the casting category yet. And I was like, oh, no, well, if this isn't being nominated for this, I'm definitely not getting nominated for it. So I kind of got in my brain of like, oh, be prepared to be sad, be prepared to be sad. And I got to the casting category, and I looked and I looked. And I went, okay, well, those are all good shows. And I went, oh, Love on the Spectrum. This is how silly I am. I go, oh, Love on the Spectrum. I worked on that. I wonder who got nominated. and I clicked on it, and my name was on there. And the reason why I was a little so surprised is because it was 3 producers doing 3 different components of the work. And I didn't even really talk to those other producers. I was hired by the higher ups to do one little component, right? And so I didn't even suspect that I would be submitted with all the higher ups that were doing the long work, the long part of the job. And I was kind of brought in as like a swing hitter, so to speak, to do some stuff. And so I was shocked. I was like, it was a roller coaster of like, oh, I'm bummed about this one show, but oh yeah, oh, I did work on that show. How amazing!
Now, can you vote? Can you vote for?
It was a surprise to me right when it happened.
Can you vote for yourself?
I think you can, yeah, because when you're nominated, you have the option to become an Academy member for that year, and I do think that we get to vote on that. It's something I'm still sorting out. It's a very confusing process.
Who was the first person that you told that you were nominated?
Was it my mom? Let me think.
Candy.
I think it was my mom. Yeah. So Candy Marx has been I have really lucked out in the mom department.
That's a good drag name, by the way.
Candy Marx. She would love to be a drag queen too. She's got the personality for it.
Well, her best friend's name was Sandy and Candy.
Oh my God.
And they used to say that their names were Sandy Beach and Candy Bar. That was their alias when they went on travel.
That'll be us on tour.
Anyway, so I lucked out on the mom department. And she's been waiting for a moment like this literally my entire life for 45 years. So I think it was my mom who I called first. It might have been my best friend if I don't remember my mom picking up right away, but my best friend would have been the other one. But between the two of them, they knew first.
Or the twink he had in his bed from the night before.
Oh my God.
Real fast, Jeff.
They're not always twinks.
Real fast, Jeff. What are the biggest tips you can give for somebody auditioning for a reality show? Because I've been up for so many, and I get to they love you, and I'm in the final, whatever, and then you never hear anything. So what makes somebody say yes? What makes somebody just be like no?
So good question. So ultimately, if you're being your authentic self, and you're not. Sometimes people get in the headspace of, let me tell them what I think they want to hear. Mm-hmm. Just be who you are and whatever your automatic voice is. Because if you're right for the project, it will fall into place because you're you. So that is number one, and it's kind of nebulous and hard to take as a note because people want to know what's the secret key to unlock the success. You really just have to be you. Be naturally you, be unapologetically you, and be authentic and genuine in all of your interactions throughout the casting process. So that's number one. Some things that help, here are some things that help, is create a social media presence. That's where we're looking for castings. We're looking on, Instagram. We're looking on TikTok. We're looking on all those things.
It's frustrating though. Like if you're
you don't even have to have a big following. You just have to actively be using it.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
We will find you there. Just create content, and we will find you there. What's another one? Here's a good tip. If you're making a video submission process for stuff, a lot of shows require that, like a Survivor or a Big Brother or whatever. Be active in your video, and what I mean by that is, a lot of people like to kind of stand in front of a wall and just kind of talk about themselves and say, here's what I would do to win the game. Make it active. You don't have to edit. So here, if you're like a vegan and you're talking about how passionate you are about being vegan and that being on Survivor would test your morals in that department, maybe you have a garden in your backyard that you use for gardening your vegetables. Talk about your strategy while you're pulling up the carrots and cleaning them off in the sink. So that way there's like an action that mirrors who you are while you're talking about why you're going to be on the TV show. It just kind of helps the people who see the video connect you to the spirit of the show.
Is that also just too, because you guys see so many videos, it's smarter to have something that makes it a little bit more exciting to look at?
We did, yes, but also if someone who's great who has a boring video will still be able to see through that too.
Okay.
It's just helpful. It's helpful to keep it in motion, and it also shows that you're not a stagnant person. Some people can memorize 2 minutes of what they want to say in front of a wall, and then say it, and then it's done.
And
you want to kind of see how your body moves on camera. You know, just kind of improvise something, talk off the cuff. Just kind of have an outline in your head of what you want to say. Don't be like, and then I was born in 1977 to a small, you know, you want to kind of feel, lively in the moment.
Now, how many seconds are you actually watching? Some people think they're going to watch the first 10 seconds, if that, and then it's to the next. How much
the whole
time?
Video.
Really?
I think the whole video. I think every casting producer wants the next video to be successful.
Oh.
We want to watch the whole thing. We don't want to cut it off. We want to watch it. I mean, if you're really like, hi, my name is Stacy and I'm a people person and you won't be sorry if you put me on TV. You know, like
I'm a bitch.
Those people, yeah, goodbye. But in general, we want to watch your whole submission. We want to know what you have to say.
I love how Stacy's the new Karen of reality TV. It's like, God, I just cast a Stacy today, and I don't know. Jeff, I'm so proud of you, and it's so fun to chat with you in this environment. What are you going to wear to the Emmys? Do you know?
Well, I jokingly on Facebook was like, maybe I'll wear a fancy caftan because I love caftans. Anyone who knows me, I'm like a caftan guy.
Ross Matthews is like, Arr!
And I was surprised at how many people legitimately was like, yes, wear a fancy caftan. I'm not wearing a caftan. I'm going to wear a tux. I don't know what kind yet, but there'll be some sparkle or color or something in a tux. But it's tux, and then my mom is going to get, she has a dress lined up, I think a lavender dress of some nature. She was very excited that I'm inviting her to the Emmys. She was like, I don't know, that's a lot to do. Because, she's getting to be an older lady these days, but she's like, F it. I'm gonna make it work. I'll go up to LA. We'll get a hotel. I'm gonna go to the goddamn Emmy.
That's also really sweet because like that's a memory she will never forget, and she won't regret doing that. Like she'll think about that forever.
Yeah.
Totally.
Your brother's gonna be like, I can invite you to IHOP. Jeff, where can everybody find and follow you?
Oh, yes, definitely all Instagram. Like Teddy, you were saying earlier, Instagram is my message receptacle. So I'm at Jeff Marx the Spot, JeffMarxThespot. It's where I put all my casting notices. It's where I, if we go through another freaking lockdown, I'll go crazy on Instagram stories. That's always entertaining. But that's where you'll find me for everything.
Fabulous. And Teddy Bear, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Teddy Bear Gurrr and on Twitter at the XXX Teddy Bear.
And you can find me on Instagram at Alexander is on air, and you can find out everything Bear With Us at bearwithusgurrl.com. Send us an email at bearwithusgurrl@gmail.com, and that's 3 R's in your girl. Until next time, don't get monkeypox.
Great advice.
Bye, guys. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Another
thank you.
episode of Bear With Us Gurrrl, presented by Bear World Magazine and Cybersocket.com.
Please take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, rate, all the love and support you can give, guys.
Questions, comments, and suggestions? Email us at bearwithusgurrl, 3 R's, @gmail.com.
Until next time, embrace the fur.
Grrr.